So we won't be getting a referendum on Britain's membership of the EU. No great surprise there then. But 79 Conservative MPs defied their leader David Cameron to vote in favour of holding a referendum. This morning we'll speak to one of those going ahead against the party whips and the woman who forced the debate in the first place round here. Now, 5 Conservative MPs from the West Midlands have defied their leader and voted in favour of holding a referendum on Britain's membership of the European Union. The government fought off the biggest ever Commons rebellion, though, so there won't be a referendum on it. David Cameron warned that now is not the time when the Eurozone is in crisis.
It is not the right time at this moment of economic crisis to launch legislation that includes an in-out referendum. When your neighbour's house is on fire, your first impulse should be to help them to put out the flames, not least to stop the flames reaching your own house. This is not the time. This is not the time to argue about walking away.
There you go, that's the views of the Prime Minister, David Cameron, but 79 Tories went against the party whips, including, amongst our local MPs, Karen Lumley from Redditch, Chris Kelly from Dudley South, Richard Shepherd, who represents Aldridge Brownhills, James Morris from Halsowen and Rowley Regis, Dan Biles, who is the Warwickshire North MP. Some Labour MPs also rebelled, including from this area, Birmingham Edgbaston, Gisela Stewart, Steve McCabe, Roger Godsif as well. They all supported a vote on Europe, the idea that we should have a referendum. Now, Nikki Sinclaire is an independent MP for the West Midlands, previously with UKIP, and Nikki started the petition which led to the vote. Nikki, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Are you delighted at the response or disappointed that you didn't get the referendum that you believe that we should have?
Well, obviously, I would hope that we would have had a referendum, but I mean, obviously, I was always expecting that the government would snuff this out, and they've used this initiative, this 100,000 initiative, was a new element of politics which was supposed to have empowered the people. And yes, we did get a debate in Parliament, but they used old politics, didn't they, to demolish this by a 3-line whip. If this was supposed to be empowering people, it should have been a free vote, and unfortunately the main parties didn't want to listen to the people.
At the same time, though, you must take some pleasure in such a massive rebellion, particularly on the Conservative side. It shows that there are many MPs who are deeply troubled by Britain's relationship with the EU.
Yes, there's obviously two PPSs have resigned.
These are parliamentary private secretaries. In case people don't know what those are, Nikki, I mean, those are essentially they're bag carriers for more senior ministers, but they're
including the Europe Minister himself.
Yeah.
PPS resigned for.
And just so people understand, though, Nikki, I mean, these are people who are on the first rung of the ladder of ministerial success. So to give that up is effectively to write off your career, maybe not for all time, but certainly for the next 3 or 4 years, yeah?
Absolutely. So some people obviously feel very strongly about this, but as does the electorate. 121,000 signatures were submitted in the end. 51,000 of those came from here in the West Midlands, and they were collected primarily by the battle bus that's been going around the West Midlands, and people feel strongly in the West Midlands as they do across the country. We've been promised referendums by all the main parties over the last couple of decades, and it's just simply not materialised. And I think primarily people are sick and tired of this debate. It's been dominating politics throughout all my adult life, and what I just try to do with this petition is say, look, just once and for all, let's have a debate about this and have a binding referendum, because I've been an MEP for 2 years, and one thing that's probably changed my view in those 2 years is going to the European Parliament and seeing the 3 main political parties operating there, looking over their shoulder. And that's detrimental to Britain's interests, because we're half in, half out, and it's not good for us. We need to decide one way or the other, because we cannot continue this way, because it's bad for our economy, bad for our public services. We're currently paying the European Union £45 million a day net. And just think of the cutbacks that we're having in local councils, in the police force, in our fire services, with fire stations being closed down in parts of the West Midlands. I just think we just have to make a decision, and I applaud the brave Conservative, Labour, there were no Lib Dem MPs who decided to rebel against the whip, but I support them, and we'll be starting something else today, and we'll be pushing, because we're not going to give up with this, Adrian.
What are you going to do today then, Nikki? What kicks off now?
We're starting another petition, but the second thing in the coalition, because I spotted this in the coalition document about the 100,000 signatures, and that's why we had a head start. The next thing it says is the petition with the most signatures will get a chance to author a bill to be debated and voted on in Parliament. And by authoring the bill, we can actually set the agenda. And that's what we'll be doing. And we will continue to fight, because increasing the amount of people want a referendum and want to leave the European Union, this isn't going away.
All right, Nikki.
Only a matter of time.
Nikki, really appreciate your involvement this morning. Nikki Sinclaire, independent MP for the West Midlands, started the petition, one of our own, Nikki, started the petition which actually led to last night's vote in the House of Commons.